I'm Stephanie Wynne-Jones. I'm a historical archaeologist of Africa, and I work in Eastern Africa, and in particular I've done a lot of work on the Swahili coast, so the Eastern African coast.
Okay, so how did you get interested in that in the first place?
Well, I didn't study African archaeology at all. I did an undergraduate degree in archaeology, but Africa was not part of it. And it was after I graduated, I had a job helping with the illustrations for a memoir about the archaeology of Axum in Ethiopia. And I was amazed by all of the illustrations, all of the material that I was seeing that was going into that book. And I wondered how I didn't know about any of this, having come out of my degree. And after that, I pursued various opportunities to go to Africa and get some fieldwork experience. And in particular, I went to do an attachment at the British Institute in Eastern Africa, which is a research institute based in Nairobi. But they sent me on projects all around the East African region, one of which was on the Swahili coast. And it was a lovely project, actually. And it inspired a lot of what I then went on to do for my PhD.
And what did you do for your PhD?
So my PhD was a settlement survey of the region around an important Swahili town in southern Tanzania called Kilwa Kisiwani. And that town was quite well excavated during the 1960s. But at that time it was a real sort of moment of the first time when people were really discovering the towns of the Swahili coast. And the focus of excavations had all been on the chronology, really just trying to figure out what the town was when it was occupied. It was a big trading town, so there was a sense of looking for who they were trading with, what were the connections around the Indian Ocean world. And we knew very little about how that town functioned as a part of its sort of region within Africa. So I did a big survey project around Kilwa region, looking for sites that were contemporary with the town as it grew and trying to understand how that town formed in this sort of region of the southern Tanzanian coast. It was hard work. I haven't done another big survey project since then, or maybe that's why.
And so what did you do next after your PhD?
After my PhD, I went and spent 3 years back at the British Institute as the assistant director. And in some ways that was a similar period of time where I worked in different parts of the region, but this time running my own projects and overseeing research. And I feel really privileged actually to have been able to do that. It was a really wonderful opportunity to develop as an independent researcher, to learn Swahili, and really to get to grips with sort of knowing the region beyond just having done my PhD there.
And then you came to York?
And then, so after I left the British Institute, I had a Leverhulme Early Career Research Fellowship at the University of Bristol, which was wonderful actually. Bristol's a great town, and having a research fellowship is quite a wonderful thing to have. And at that time I was doing a study of caravan routes from the Swahili coast into the interior, particularly in Tanzania, looking for precursors to the 19th century caravans that used to connect between Lake Tanganyika and Zanzibar. And the fellowship also gave me time to develop a big excavation project on the coast at a site called Songomnara, which later became a really big project for me. I moved from my fellowship to the University of York to become a lecturer at just the same moment that I got the grant to go and excavate at Songomnara. So it all came together in 2011, and I've been working at York ever since.
And you had a few years away in Sweden, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was another fellowship actually. So I won a Pro Futura Scientia fellowship to go and spend some years at the Swedish Collegium for Advanced Study, which is in Uppsala in Sweden. It's part of Uppsala University, but it's independently funded. It's a research institution. And it's a really wonderful place actually. It's an interdisciplinary research institute and they encourage dialogue between people in different disciplines in all sorts of different ways, one of which is by making it compulsory to have lunch together every day. And so you'd have these wonderful conversations with people from all sorts of different disciplines and different parts of the world.
Any advice for people wanting to get into African archaeology?
If you want to get into African archaeology, well, obviously getting in touch with the British Institute is quite a nice place to start. There's all sorts of opportunities. And I think my main advice would be to get involved with some projects. So whether you're a student in Africa or coming from Europe, I think spending some time in the region and on the type of project that you're thinking of doing is a really good idea. As with any kind of archaeology, I think it's all about experience and about sort of asking questions that you can answer with the material that you're looking at. And I think knowing what those questions should be really comes from spending time in the region and becoming familiar with the type of materials that you're going to be looking at. But if you are interested in getting involved in African archaeology, then I'd encourage you mightily. There's a lot to be learnt, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff to find out along the way.